1. A closer look at business and organization definition. Let's think about the concept of organization. Many definitions are possible, but most of these include the, the characteristic of people, goals, and structures. People are social beings and by and large tend to cooperate in interdependent relationships to achieve common aims. Originally, people formed simple family and tribal structures. Today, we have evolved into a complex society characterized by large, formal, and increasingly global structures. For our purposes, then, we can define an organization as a social entity that provides the necessary structures to achieve specific aims. Now take a look in several dictionaries to find variation in the way the term business is defined, and be sure to add all your definition from this section to your glossary. A further point to consider is whether organizations that do not aim to make a profit, e.g., in the voluntary sector, including charities, are included in a discussion of businesses. From your investigation, do you think that they should be included? Are organizations that do not aim to make profit, e.g., charities, also business organizations? For our purposes in this subject guide, we will understand the term business to mean a commercial enterprise or establishment that trades in goods or services. However, the complication of using a general definition emerges again. For instance, the objective of trading does not have to be for profit. Therefore, the argument can be made that non-profit making organization can also be regarded as a businesses, at least a certain type of business. This would include public sector organizations since there is increasing demand for this organization to perform and be managed like profit-making businesses. See Mullins 2010, page 82 to 83, Private and Public Organization, and page 435 to 36, Managed in Private Enterprise and Public Sector Organization for further debate on this. Pulling together aspects of different definition, we can again devise a meaning to suit our needs. Therefore, we can define the business organization as an entity that is both commercial and social, which provides the necessary structure to achieve the central objective of trades in goods or services. Activity 1. Reading. Read the following section of your K-text, making notes as you read. Mullins 2010, Chapter 1, The Nature of Organizational Behavior. Page 2 to 8, Mullins 2010, Chapter 4, The Nature and Context of Organization. Page 77 to 81, 94 to 96. Look at the first reading from the meaning of organizational behavior, up to including influences on behavior on page 3 to 7. Note the term behavioral approach and add it to your glossary. The second reading is an explanation of organizations to be found in the section entitled The Context of Organization, Perspectives of the Organization, the Formal Organization, and Basic Components of an Organization on page 77 to 81, and the Informal Organization on page 94 to 96 in Mullins' book. Look out for the following as you read: how organizations differ, factors they have in common, the importance of the hidden informal organization, the functions and the basic components. Body 2008, Chapter 1, page 6 to 9 discusses management and organizations. Activity 1-2. Now try to classify the following as a business organization: B. Non-business organization, and C. Non-organization. Number 1. A multinational company. Number 2. The Ministry of Health in your country. Number 3. A local football supporters club. Number 4, a man who issues tickets for an airline. Number 5, a religious group who worship together. Feedback. Here is the answer. A 1, B 2, 3, 5, C 4. Can you see the reason for this? If not, go back to the definition in your glossary. Increasingly in practice, the line between a business and a non-business become harder to draw. Many non-business social organizations also raise money, hire workers, and have finance and marketing activities. Also, some government departments have business activity which may be run as separate business organization. Organizations of all kinds have functioned for thousands of years. Think of some examples. It was not until about 100 or so years ago that people started writing about how to manage them. For the purposes of this guide, we focus on business organizations that aim to make a profit. However, the principles discussed are mostly relevant to not-for-profit business organizations as well. When studying business organization, a particular interest is the behavior of this organization. Check now that you have the definition in your glossary. 3. A closer look at management. The importance of management to organizational performance is generally acknowledged. However, its definition is widely contested. The term is used in many different ways by people from a wide variety of backgrounds. Also, the subject is dynamic and changes over time. The result is that no one accepted definition of management exists, but many of the definitions do include similar elements. Therefore, it is again important to investigate different definitions to gain an understanding of the term. Often, writers try to capture the dynamic elements of management in their definition. A few such definitions are listed below. Different definition of management. Managing is deciding what should be done and getting other people to do it. Stewart, 1986, page 12. The first definition of management is therefore that is an economic organ, indeed the specifically economic organ of an industrial society. Every act, every decision, every deliberation of management has as its first dimension an economic dimensions. Drucker, 1955, page 6. The word management identifies a specific group of people whose job it is to direct the effort and activities of other people towards common objectives. Massey, 1987, page 2. Management is a process which exists to get result by making the best use of the human, financial, and material resources available to the organization and to be manager. Armstrong, 1995, page 1. To administrate is to plan, organize, command, coordinate, and control. Fayol, 1930, page 9. 1. Do you see any common elements in this definition? Read Mullins, page 78. For inspiration, do you agree with him? See page 2. That it is important to recognize that the rule management as an integrating activity in an increasingly global business environment. From administrator to manager, we can use the last definition by Henry Fayol to illustrate the problems that can be encountered when defining key terms and the importance of ensuring you know how an author uses a concept. The title of his original work was Administration Industrielle et Générale. In the 1930s translation of his work referred to into the quote above, administration was seen to be the key concept. In 1949, a new translation changed the word administration in the code to management and the title to general and industrial management. The reason for this was a fear that using the term administration would result in Fayol's work only being seen as relevant to industry rather than a wider audience, including government. This decision can be seen to reflect a narrowing of the meaning of the administration, while the concept of management was seen to have wider application. However, read and consider the following quotation taken from the 1930s translation. It is important not to be confused administration with management. To manage an undertaking is to conduct its toward its objective by trying to make the best possible use of all the resources at its disposal. It is in fact to ensure that the smooth working of the six essential functions: administration, planning, organizing, commanding, and coordinating, controlling. Administration is only one of these functions, but the manager of big concern spends so much of their time on it that their job sometimes seems to consist solely of administration. File 1930, page 9 in the 1930s translation file saw these two concepts of management and administration as having different meanings, despite one letter being used as a direct translation of the other owing to changing usage. This example therefore vividly demonstrates the need for you to evaluate how key concepts are used. Defining management. Activity 1.3. Reading. Read the following section of your main K text. Mullins 2010, Chapter 1, The Nature of Organizational Behavior. Page 12 to 14. Management as an integrating activity. Mullins 2010, Chapter 11, The Nature of Management, page 426 to 36. The meaning of the management up to and including management in private, enterprise, and public sector organization. See Allbody 2008, Chapter 1, page 9 to 11 for a discussing of meaning of management. Now that you appreciate the importance of definition, see how well you can compare and contrast different ones. As you go through this reading, as part of your note-taking, make a list of all definitions of management you come across. From the list you draw up and the definition you have read above, what common elements can you identify? And are any of definition conflicting? So, concepts are contested and usage can change. All of this can make debates very interesting, but how it is possible to study or employ a concept if defining it is such a problem? This is something which all writers and students face, and recognizing that this is an important issue is the first step in getting to grips with a concept.